The following podcast is sponsored by Words and Pictures Comics, located at 2610 Center Street, number 6. Words and Pictures is your one-stop shop for vintage back issues and cutting-edge graphic novels. Awesome service, great shop. Check them out. Welcome, everyone, to episode 244 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pantellaresco. I write stuff and podcast too. Today, my guest is Betsy Ross. Betsy Ross is an ex-military, paramedic, farmer, businesswoman, and author to boot. She's an amazing jack of all trades. Oh, yeah, and I forgot mom, too. So she's like the badass of badasses, and it's great to have her on the show. Betsy, it was a pleasure to talk to you. And it really was a fun conversation. It was just amazing to meet someone this driven to do this many things. It was nothing short of incredible. And yeah, this is going to be a little different. Normally I know a contest winner, but I actually did a really piss poor job of promoting this week's contest. I'm going to be doing this again next week when I'm back from Creative Inc. And Creative Inc. is where I'm off to next. Now, this was a weird thing to set up in terms of a flight and stuff like that. I have to go to another city to fly to Vancouver. Vancouver is really weird to get to right now, and I'm not quite sure why, but it is, and I'm going to be there. But I will be there at Creative Inc. this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'm going to be spending a little extra time in Vancouver while I'm there. So while that's going on, the podcast is going to be a little late next week, so I'm kind of, because of the unusual nature of finishing LS0, the Creative Inc. and all that this week, so the podcast next week is going to be a little late, probably Tuesday morning. Don't quote me on that, but that's the plan. All right, let's just get to our conversation with Betsy, and I'll wrap this all up. So I usually open up a podcast with this question: if you got anything incriminating you'd like to say, make it good.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
No pressure.
No. There's no pressure. Look, it's just look. Here's the deal. I have no problem making an ass out of myself on the air. It's not a big deal to me. So if you feel intimidated, just know I've made far bigger blunders on air than you can. So just don't worry about it. Have fun.
Okay.
Does that work?
I guess. We'll see.
So how you feeling today?
I guess for most I'm pretty good.
So what have you been up to? What have you been up to today?
Today I've been doing a lot of homework, and I took the kids out to see the cows.
So what's your homework?
On our ranch. Homework, I am currently working on my bachelor's in business.
What in particular?
Right now it's just the regular admin, business administration. But I hope to be able to use it for our ranch business here.
So what kind of ranch you run?
A Longhorn ranch.
Okay. So is this something you like? Is this been like a lifelong goal for you, or is this just something that kind of came after you? From what I gathered, you served and then you came back. So was this something you've always had, or is this something that you kind of always wanted to do?
It's pretty much been something I've always wanted to do. Fortunately, I had met my husband, and when we got married, we were able to, when we both got out of the service, we eventually moved to Texas, and we started our family-owned ranch business.
All right. So how long have you been doing it?
So far, let's see, it's been over 2 years now.
Ooh. So it's still relatively, I guess, new-ish. I guess is that the right way to describe it? Because usually with businesses, there's like a 5-year growth window. So.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes.
And we're still trying to work on expanding it. So it definitely takes time.
Yeah.
It's quite a big investment.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I know this might sound like an odd question, but are you enjoying it? Having fun with it?
I'd say yes, but I'm also a full-time medical lab tech at a hospital, and so I don't get to enjoy it as much, but when I'm away from work, I can actually take part in all the like the futurity shows, if we show the calf or any type of sales or anything like that we have going on.
So do you sleep? Because it sounds like you got...
I don't know anymore.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Because you have kids.
Oh my god.
You have kids. You're in you're in school. I'm assuming at least a college of some kind, and you got a business full time, and you're a parent to boot.
Yeah, pretty much. I just roll with it. That is pretty much. People ask me, how do you do it all? The only answer I have come up with is I just wing it. I just do. I don't know. I don't think about it. If I think too much, I might psych myself, so I just do it. And got a lot accomplished, so I can't say negative about it, but it's crazy. People ask me what I do for fun. I just go. I don't know what I do for fun.
I can relate. It's like, okay, I do the podcast. I was working until very recently full time, and I'm writing books, right? So between all that, I don't sleep much myself. But same thing. You just go out there and you're just like, there's no magic plan. You can accomplish an awful lot, no matter who you are, by just doing things, doing things and kind of just walking through the doors that open up to you. I get the feeling in your case you made some conscious decisions, and life just have a tendency to add on to things. Like, hey, while you're here, did you think about this? And you're like, well, I know I didn't think about this, but this seems like I'll go with it. And that's kind of what you've been doing. It's been growing and evolving. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's pretty much what has happened.
Yes. So, although I will admit I do miss sleep sometimes. Like today I slept because it was a good day to sleep. It's Siberia and Calgary right now. So.
Oh man.
Well, it's only minus 17 today, which that might sound scary, but I mean for the last 3 weeks it's been minus 23, 25 with the wind chill closer to minus 40. So minus 17 actually feels.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Minus 17 actually.
No, we don't.
Yeah. So I like we were coming out of our cold snap. So, but today it's like I don't really have to do anything besides interview apparently a super badass. I kind of feel like I don't do enough now, but in a good way. Like it sounds like you are on the path of doing kind of what you want to do, and that's really amazing.
It's definitely a working process. Things do not just happen overnight. It is definitely a mindset. It's a passion. It's a goal. There's constant motivation. You have to somehow support yourself or surround yourself with people who do support you. And I think that's kind of the hardest part for most people.
Well, it's a filtering process in a lot of cases, because a lot of people that are in your life, and this is something I've been going through the last couple of years, is they have, again, partly because they have their own goals, and there's nothing wrong with that. They have to do what they have to do. They have their own goals, and so life moves on that way. But also, just some people just don't share your philosophies, and there comes a point where that gets in the way. So
that is true.
Yeah. It's not like it's not a terrible thing. It's just that's life. People are going to come into your life that you definitely need to learn things from, and where you were like 5 years ago and where you are now. Very, very different places in terms of who you are as a person. So, I mean, you're the same person, but you've grown and matured. Hopefully, I hope. That's the hope, right? And
but I tell people.
Could you repeat that? That was kind of quick.
I was just saying that's what I tell people.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's just that's life, right? And you, like I say, if you have people that are with you that share your philosophies that are there when you need them to be there, it truly you are a fortunate person. because that means you have found good people, and that will carry you very, very far. Nothing but silence on the other end on that. So, I guess you agree?
Sorry, I didn't hear. It's cutting in and out. So
Oh, okay.
I'm able to hear.
Okay, so what I said is, if you have those people in your life right now, it allows you to do what you do, for one. But the other thing is, you've put yourself into a position to succeed, and you're very fortunate and blessed because you have people that want not only help you succeed, but are walking that path with you.
Yes, for the most part.
Yes, which is good. I mean, that's a recipe for success. So I'm gonna ask her. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, and stubborn.
Well, stubborn's good. You need to be stubborn. Look. Yeah, you know this. Like, life has this ability to go with you. Hey, what do you really want? This. Let's see what happens when we put this obstacle in front of you. Do you still want this? You got to be stubborn.
Yes. Absolutely.
Right. So I mean, that's the way life works. That's the way. I mean, do you really, really, really want it? And if you really, 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 really want it, sooner or later the universe will go, okay, have it. That's how it works. But it's a process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Strongly agree.
Yeah. So, I guess I'm going to ask this. Since you're juggling a zillion, like, all admirable things, where did this ethic come from?
Let me think. Well, I knew I grew up in a pretty strict home. I grew up out in the country, so I kind of had that mindset of being more down to earth and trying to learn the right and wrong. But I think it may have been my dad. He was always very supportive of doing what you love. If you do what you love, then everything else just falls into place. And I think that's kind of where my strong sense of passion. People think I'm a little crazy because I'm jumping around all the place. I jumped majors. I jumped career paths. But I think it was more of whatever my passion was at the time, I went with it. I didn't think about it. I just did it. Did it make sense? I don't know. My resume looks crazy. But I just did it. I had a passion for the military. I joined. Didn't work out. Got injured. Got out. Went into the medical field. Now I'm working on my ranch business. And then I became an author. And I've got this other stuff going on. So I think I just go with it. And I think whatever I have a strong passion about, I just do it.
Yeah, I know. That's an admirable mentality. Like I said, to do all the things. So I guess I'll ask this one, because this might be an interesting one, because you've jumped around as much as you have. Like, passion for stuff. There's like interests. Like, I'm interested in, like me, I'm interested in comic books. I'm interested in archery. I'm interested in vitamins and herbology. And I definitely have backgrounds in all of those things. But I have a passion for writing. I have a passion for interviewing people. I have a passion for going as far as I can with what I'm doing. So, with some of the stuff that you did prior, was there like a clear difference between interest and passion? Or was it like you were passionate about something, but you got what you wanted out of it and then you moved on?
It's an interesting perspective. I think when it all boils down to it, I think there's a difference between interest and an actual passion. Because passion, I believe, involves more sacrifice. I am interested in art. I'm interested in different things. But as far as actually going after it, there's a big difference. For me, I have a passion in a bunch of things. But I have to sacrifice time, and now I have to also sacrifice time with my children and everything else. So what am I wanting to actually get done, and within a short or short range goals, what do I want to get done? And so I guess when I set my mind to something, that okay, well now I have a passion for it, and I'm going to do it. And I just do it. Interests are more of, I don't know, minor entertainments, I guess. I'm not sure.
Hobbies, maybe? Well, you might not have room for hobbies anymore, but...
Right, I mean, it's like, I have passions, and then there's things if I ever made myself the time to do it, then I would do it. But strong passions is something, it doesn't matter what's going to get in my way, I'm going to do it.
It's very admirable. You must be, your husband must hate fighting with you.
We share the passions on as far as the ranch, but as far as the schooling and me writing, he's like, I'm not a writer. I couldn't do that. So I was like, okay, well, I'm a writer. I need time. Watch the kids for a few minutes. I need to write a little bit today.
There's nothing wrong with that. I
know that I'm gonna do.
But no, there's nothing wrong with having that in the. Also, I mean, you've written a few books, which is I met you I met you kind of through Marnie Young, the audio sorceress, to kind of linked all of us together, and I looked you up, and you got a couple books out.
I do finally. That was a very long-term goal. That ever since I was a child, I wanted to write. I started writing poetry though back in middle school, but I was never very good at it. But then I was like, I want to write a book one day. But I think it was I didn't have a topic that I'd even be able to write. And then when I got out of the service, one thing there's no joking, there's no denial of any passion or motivation. It was the military. And when I got out, I was like, well, we need voices, people who transition were kind of just forgotten. So I kind of just went off from there. And I knew without a doubt I could write a story about that.
You had something to say. You found the voice. I find with writing, this was for me where I went from being I'm not going to say a bad writer, but not necessarily a good one, to at least a decent one, is when I figured out what I wanted to say on the page. And it's not so much about topics, because in my case, I just make stuff up. Like, in terms of, like, I imagine these big, pristine worlds, and I write about them. But what makes a story really click to me is what you're actually saying, what matters to you. And when you have that, you can tell a good story. Does that make sense? Yeah. Is it windy out there?
It is.
Yeah, because I can hear it from here.
Yes, I figured it's better than kids talking and screaming.
Yeah, so we have is it like a windstorm out there?
But it's probably still the 60s or 50s.
Yeah, I used to live up in Arizona, up in northern Arizona, and we'd have like these 30, 40 mile an hour winds in April. It would just be a normal deal up there, and it's just like, and you're looking at people, and people get knocked back from that stuff. So it'd be kind of like okay, so this time of year, this normal down there?
Not quite. It's been a little eccentric winter time for us here. But I was stationed in El Paso, Texas, and the windstorms there were horrible. I was like, I hated it. I missed trees. I missed actual rain. I hated it.
Desert just wasn't for you, huh?
I don't think so.
No, it's not for. It's not for everybody, man. I lived in Phoenix too, and Phoenix is a big city. Don't get me wrong, but it is a desert too. And it's like, I can see why people like it, and I can see why people don't. So.
I respect it. I respect it. I just don't do it.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, listen. Not everything in this world is made for you. I know it's a big shocker to some people, but we are not the center of the universe. We just aren't. Right? It devastated me when I found this out myself. But when I got over it, I realized like there are going to be things in this life that are just not for me. And that's fine. They're not made for me. They're made for other people. Right? So I'm going to let them enjoy that stuff. You know?
Absolutely.
Right? I got other places to be. Now, grant you, where I'm at right now, it's really really cold, and I question to myself my sanity of living in a place like this, and maybe that by this time next year I might want to consider maybe going somewhere else. But you know, to each their own. But yeah, it is what it is, right? So, but. Going back on topic here, so you've written 2 books with primarily dealing with military and veterans. So is that the genre you're going to continue to write in, or are you trying other things out? Are you going to try poetry again, maybe because they won't be so bad this time, or or what do you want?
I do still write poetry every now and then. I'll post them over on social media, but I have started a collection of poems as well as short stories that I hope to be able to put together. I've also started 2 other books. I'm hoping to make actual novels. But as far as the fight series, I made up my mind where I want to at least go to 4.
Okay.
They're short, called novellas, but they're basically short stories. I hope to at least make it to 4. But right now, it's my main focus, though. I've started other books, but those are more of, if I ever have time, I get to them, but they're not like the main one I want to focus on.
No, you want to get what you're doing now off the ground, and then once you're done saying what you're going to say there, then you'll grab one of the other kids in the back. Like my one friend, he creates story ideas to like kids in the seat of the car, and the kids in the seat of the car, they're all screaming, "Look at me! Look at me! Look at me!" But the one right beside you in the passenger seat is the one you're working on, and for you it's the fight series. That's the one in the passenger seat. But right now, you have the children are amassing in this car, so. Eventually, one of them's going to, say, "Okay, he's done talking. It's my turn." Does that make sense?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yes. So just out of curiosity, how many kids do you have?
2.
2? How old?
They are 3 and 1.
Oh, you haven't gotten to the fun stuff yet. Oh, I might have.
I know.
It will be soon. My dad used to always say a real parent is a parent with 2 kids, because at that point when things break, you have to figure out who did it.
Yes. Oh boy. Always something to look forward to.
Hey, kids are the ultimate adventure. That's what they say. Yeah, I wouldn't know, but I imagine that is the truth.
For us, it definitely has been.
There's a specific reason, or just...
Fortunately for them. Well, because we have the ranch with all the animals, they're able to see and pet and feed and watch my husband and I actually taking care of them. That they have a sense of wanting to be outside. They want to be helpful. I know they're probably going to grow out of it, but right now, sure, they'll watch movies, but if I say, let's go outside, without a doubt, they're running outside to run, to play, to go play with the animals, to, just be a part of being outside instead of technology, and I think that's very important. But like I said, they might grow out of it, but right now, I'm enjoying it and letting them roam.
Well, I don't know if they'll ever fully outgrow it. It really depends on the environment they're in. They're going to have to learn how to use the tools to some degree. That's unavoidable in today's day and age. But you don't... if you kids do take after their parents, whether they'd like to admit it or not. And if you're not one, if you're pretty adverse to all the wonderful stuff, you're right. Chances are they're not going to be as cool with it either. Now they might know more about it than you will, but that's simply because this is the age and time of it, and they have to deal with those tools, right? But that doesn't necessarily. Sorry.
No, I was just agreeing.
Yeah.
Because I'm all for, keeping up with today's technology and today's, social media, social networking and whatnot, but having that foundation of at least having an appreciation with what we have in this world, that they can be able to at least take those skills that we teach them and, do whatever they really want to do with their life.
That's all you can hope for, really, right? So, it sounds like in some ways you've kind of done what your parents did. You're out kind of doing your thing out in the open, which is cool. So, I mean, your kids will probably do something very similar. You'll probably have at least one of them like you doing a zillion things at once. You're like, honey, how do you do that? And then you're going to look in the mirror. Oh, wait.
Probably so. I can see it now.
It's okay though, right? Those are good things to look forward to. Like I said, you're on the ultimate adventure. You get to relearn what they learn, and that's an awesome thing.
I agree.
Yeah. So you have two. So do you know when fight number 3 is going to be coming out?
The goal is for the end of the year, because so far it's been a book a year, but I mean, I finished Fight 2 even though I was in school, so, I mean, it's still possible. But semester's getting more difficult, so I don't know.
So how much more school you got?
End of next year. I'll graduate.
And then for her next trick, she will conquer, she will cure disease because, she's done everything else. And by the way, And by the way, on a personal note, just based on what we talked about, it wouldn't surprise me if you tried something like that. I'm just throwing it out there, just as a random. But
I appreciate it. I go, so if that's where that leads me, then it's meant to be.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, it takes. You're doing an awful lot. I know you're not doing it all on your own. I mean, you have definitely support with you. But it takes a lot of guts to actually go out there and do it. It's refreshing, actually. I find a lot of people, again, biggest challenge I find where I'm at is finding people with that drive to do something, right? And it's a rare thing. And when you see someone actually going out there and going, hey, I'm going to do this, and then they do it, it's awesome. It really is.
I've always admired people that way. But I strongly think it's not so much, how can I word this? Because people always will say, well, you must be brave in doing all these things. I'm like, well, I don't really think of it that way, truthfully. I mean, I appreciate, everyone encouraging and supporting, but I think it's more, just a life set goal or motivation to just do. People think and talk about doing things, but they don't actually do. And to actually stay focused on doing, you are able to accomplish so much. I know we've kind of already said that before, but people just want to think and talk about so much, and instead of just doing, and they just kind of forget you have to actually get up and do it.
So I think you're gonna appreciate it. Do you want? I have 5 rules. Would you like to hear my 5 rules?
I would love to.
The first rule: show up. Second rule: do your shit. Third rule: don't quit. Fourth rule: the rest is rain. Fifth rule: get out of your own fucking way.
I like those rules.
Yeah. Well, the first rule, show up. That's where most people fail. Most people, again, just going back to talking and doing, people that do show up. Just showing up, sometimes things happen. And I have found this to be the case over and over and over again. For example, I showed up at 3 o'clock my time, 4 o'clock your time, 1600, right? Right, and I met this apparently this badass, and we had a great conversation about doing things, and that she's doing a zillion different things, which is awesome. And all I did was show up, do my stuff, like do whatever it is you feel obligated to do. You got that one nailed down. Don't quit. It's the most cliched one, but it's also the one that actually really matters the most. It doesn't matter if you, like, you're gonna fail. Like, not everything you're gonna do is gonna work out exactly the way you planned it. But if you keep going, things will happen. Number 4, the rest is rain. The paradox of success is that you can do all the right things and still not succeed. So you have to accept that that's a possibility. But on the flip side, you can put yourself in positions to succeed at whatever it is you do. Now, whatever the result will be is the result, but you can always say, I did everything right up to this point, or I knew was right. And number 5, get out of your own way. When you succeed, don't be stupid. Don't get in your way of what's happening. Just enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I strongly agree with all of it.
Yeah, that's it. That's all there is to it. It's simple, but it's not easy. So, and it sounds to me like you kind of have that. You kind of already have those rules in your head anyway. So,
somewhat, because my 2 favorite life mottos, if you will, are lead by example and adapt to overcome. And I honestly think that the adapt and overcome has been probably the more strongest voice in my head, because even with all the obstacles, because even though I didn't serve long in the military, it was still quite a challenge of transitioning. And I didn't have my peers, I didn't have my supervisors. I tried to move back home. My parents had moved away, nowhere to go. I was sleeping on couches, I didn't have a job. It was very hard for me to just continue my life. I had jumped into school, probably not the best idea, but I did. So I was going to school. I fortunately had a vehicle, but other than that, I had nothing going for me. And when it finally clicked, adapt and overcome. You need to be flexible. You need to adapt. What can you do to make it another day? And that was not easy. I was in a very bad state of mind. I was drinking heavily. I didn't have friends, no one to really go to. But beyond that, I was like, just make it another day. And then eventually, like I said, things just started happening and falling into place. And I've been a strong believer that everything happens for a reason. And I went with it. And now I'm up to this point, and I'm like, well, don't slow down now. Just keep going.
In the end, I mean, don't stop. Don't get scared of what's in front of you. Just keep going and see what amazing things will happen. And wow, looks like you're going to be doing a lot of amazing things in the future. Good luck with everything you're doing.
I do appreciate that. Crazy world.
Unbelievably crazy world.
There's no denying that. You can't deny that.
No. I just roll with it. I've learned a long time ago just to roll with the punches, not to you can't fight it. I mean, look, you can try to fight it, but like I've said this on interviews, sometimes life will do this. If you fight the path you're on, around you there are these big walls, and they don't break. You can hit your head onto them all you want, right? Like, life is just going to be like, okay, you can keep hitting your head. It's all good. When you're done, let me know, right? And it's like, okay. It's like, doesn't care. Does not care.
Oh.
So you roll, yeah. you roll with it, or you get rolled over. That's just the way it is. So, c'est la vie. But it sounds like you're on your way. So, good luck with your ranch. I think I don't know. What do you think? Do we have a good interview, Miss Betsy?
I think so. It's been fun.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise. Told you. I mean, don't worry about it. I am the you can be the serious one. I can be the silly one. It'll work out just fine. So, how about we do this? So, why don't you talk about your second book in detail, and how can people find you? Now we'll how we wrap the interview up.
All see, Fight 2 to Fight Again. It kind of branched off where Fight 1 had ended, but it kind of goes off more of the characters, more in a relationship sense, because, you know, the military itself does affect everybody, and to that individual, their friends, their families, loved ones, their children, it doesn't matter. It affects everything. And even when you come out of the military, there's still a mindset where it still affects everyone. Everyone's still affected. They're still, you know, adapting to the new you, if you will. But it kind of also introduces homelessness and other state of minds where some veterans fall into, where they can't get out and they really have to depend on their friends to help them. And I think that's where the misunderstanding is between civilians and veterans. We don't know how to communicate to each other anymore. So that's why I'm really hoping that the Fight series in general is able to open that door again to where we can trust one another again. We don't have to listen to these stereotypes. We can actually, you know, just help each other. But both of my books can be found on Amazon. Let's see. I think, yeah, just Fight 2 is on Amazon. One is also available on barnesandnoble.com.
Fair enough. And how can people find you?
And find me. Let's see. I am on Instagram at Ross4, the number 4, Vets. And then also on Twitter at fight_Ross. And let's see, I don't have a Facebook account, so I think that is it.
All right. So, on that note,
And that was my conversation with Betsy Ross. Check out her Fight series, available now on Amazon. You should definitely give it a read. They're short but amazing and intense pieces. Betsy, you are awesome, and you are welcome back anytime you want on the show. And yeah, like I said, I'm off to Creative Ink now. So, I don't know what else I should say other than the fact that Creative Ink's always a fun festival. I always look forward to meeting some people in Vancouver. I love the Vancouver area. I really, really do. So hopefully I'll get the opportunity to see some great people like John Maven, Sandra Wickham, Jonathan Lister, Graham Darling, the people I've slowly come to know out there. Beyond that, I've also just been doing some Aurora nominations. I've added some things definitely into both the graphic novel and related work category that I thought should be there. There's some familiar faces. Also some people I haven't talked to in a long time, but they just do great work. I think, like I said, it's important as Canadians to recognize when people just do good work around you, because we take ourselves for granted. We really do. And we need to stop that. We're as good as anybody else in the world. We really are. And with that food for thought, I'm going to wrap up this episode of Just Joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so a number of different ways. I am on Patreon. Just Joshing Podcast is up. Patreon.com/JustJoshingPodcast. I am also on YouTube as Joshua Pantellaresco. I have 150 episodes archived there. I am on all players: iTunes, Podomatic, Spotify, Google Play. You can subscribe to all my stuff there. That's great. The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God, available through Mirror World Publishing. Atlas Zero is going to be available for pre-order in literally 2 weeks, with a release date planned of April 21st or April 28th. Take a look. It's all coming together. Beyond all that, though, guys, stay inspired. And I'll talk to you guys after Creative Ink.
Josh.